ARLECCHINO, the eternal competition of the Caraspyro within Genshin Impact. Mavuika ARLECCHINO. Gaming Hutaoline, Clay Yomiya, Diluc, Yanfei, and many other Caraspyro than indeed. They may arrive, but for exactly 8 months there was only one queen in this case. Father and recently Mavuika arrived. How strong is ARLECCHINO? She is still a queen. As it was for the last 8 months. I told you recently in a video of Deserve the penalty that follows. Being very rosy, and also in the latter, Oyoverse has managed to force you to play a Caraspyro in each room, which actually looks pretty good to play ARLECCHINO in one of them. Today, we're going to see all the secrets of the character. It's ARLECCHINO's last build. Since the Vital Covenant was never used again, and it was a mechanics that literally lasted 3 or 4 characters, but despite having a unique mechanics, it is still the 3rd best game team and 2nd best Caraspyro of all Genshin Impact. So leave a good like, a good LT from Ben, subscribe, leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thank you for enjoy and watch the video and the channel. Thank you for all the love and support. Remember that it is free. That doesn't cost you anything. Recommends, positions the video, until we grow. This whole project also explodes and follows the pace that is having all these last months. That really many. Thank you for everything, and especially for being so happy for everything that's going on with the channel. Because it has been an absolute barbarity what has happened with the banner of Mavuika and others. Remember that I can thank you for this. Thanks to you too, and for giving 1 blessing a day to everyone. That he's very rich, and leave me in the comments you're eating while you watch the video. Okay. Welcome and guests to the directs, and we go with the legendary build and the latest build in fact of ARLECCHINO. Very well, as it has become quite clear, it is a Caraspyro in field that works too. We're going to talk about the constellations too, and we're going to talk about whether it gets out. I mean, I said pyro, but I meant... Attack to If you don't performance of the attack, you may well take advantage on tech chalice. As you can see, I have one, but it's not the best situation, but you can talk about it, and it's all. And above all, how it works, and why I've always said it doesn't have to go up. The elementary skill, and today, people who do not yet understand it. You can play 10-1-10. Well, ARLECCHINO works as follows, and the C2 works as follows. To melt and how to apply certain buffos. Even if you have C2 ARLECCHINO, the rotation is going to be. Your normals are the first thing to prioritize. Just like in Jubileta, you have to try. Take out ARLECCHINO's first crown, his normal attack. By maxing it, you increase the ticks and the damage that makes them very small, and you are not worth your. I mean, this doesn't help you or improve you at all, ARLECCHINO D. Just what he's going to do, as I say, is you throw the elemental, both the initial hit. Like the little hits that the enemy receives, that even if you have the talent at 10, they are going to be hits of up to 3,000, a ridiculous thing when ARLECCHINO is well built. The big hit damage that in addition to talent 10, as you see is 666, have done it in relation to the V. The normal combo is number 1. Start the rotation with the A. Elementary skill. Then rotate with the whole team, mainly Zelonen if you play the team that, or Kazuha's team. Now after all the construction I'm going to talk about ARLECCHINO's teams in rotation and leave me in the comments while watching the video. Maybe it can come in handy, so let me have it, and if I see a lot of support for the comments from the video, all of the teams, I make a separate video just talking about the teams, but in principle, you just throw the file. ARLECCHINO Elemental in their teams, then broken with the whole team, and then you have to enter with ARLECCHINO, and when you enter, you must give a first load so that to absorb the vital pact that you left. The enemy is with the elemental that leaves them a mark. That's going to give you a vital pact that's a red bar above your life, and that's going to make you do a lot more damage normal attacks. Hence, the normal gameplay of all ARLECCHINO teams is to give full normal attacks as quickly as possible. That you can, and when you see you're going to go with St. Peter because life can't be cured and it's going down a lot, throwing away the ulti to heal you and survive. Technique number 1, be hitting in the field until you see that your elementary ability regenerates. Cooldown, because every normal attack you hit your elementary ability regenerates cooldown, and you can. Throw a combo of elemental, ulti elemental, because also throw the ulti resets the ability. Elementary, and its elemental has a lot of particle generation with which to do elementary. Ulti elemental, you are going to generate practically as much energy as to have again per multi, and a lot energy for your team. Tip number 2. If you play very well or play with Zhongli, basically the recommendations is that you do not throw the ulti in the first rotation. The ulti serves to make a decent harm and healing, but don't throw it away because the whole life pack, you're stuck with it. It's going to stay there piled up until the next rotation. You only lose vital pact if you hit it. Normal attacks. And if you throw the ulti with which to do more damage in the second rotation, having more vital pact and more vital pact plus damage from normal attacks, basically don't throw the ultima in the first rotation, save it and hurry it to pull to throw the second rotation if it makes you, before enemies take your whole life. Now this is the whole combo basically. By taking the Vital Covenant having passed 5 seconds if I remember correctly, you're going to take more Covenant. Vital that if you directly do Elemental and a charge directly for that, I explained the theme of doing Elementary all the rotation of the team and then the ulti deity. Another tip when you have the C2, and we're talking about the C2, if you have the most vital pact when you do elemental and directly charged, with which the C2 helps many of you to do this kind of showcase of trial. Rooms to pass the abyss with 1 character per room, or with 2 characters per room, but only without C2. If you don't let those 5 seconds enter elementary and re-enter with ARLECCHINO, with a load to take that vital pact, first talent to extent you cannot heal, and when you break an enemy that is applied by Vital Pact, that is to say it is applied by the Marquita of the Moor, elementary, you're going to generate 130% Vital Pact. That's a gross, and just the second passive says. 5 seconds after I apply a bloody doubt decree that this is basically you. Elementary skill and X that the enemies have as they spend 5 seconds absorbing the pack. Vital gain much more Vital Covenant is what I explained before. The next talent says all. ARLECCHINO's elementary and physical resistances increase by 1% every 100 attack points up to a maximum of 20% above that. ARLECCHINO has 1000 summary if you being in the field gets. It's more than 3000 attack, you're going to have 20% resistance reduction or resistance reduction. Extra beta Z for you, so that you don't get hit. This is very well normally as you see here. I have 2600 but in field with the pyro consonants with the VNTBUFO and a lot more things you're gonna be over 3000, so don't worry, and usually you'll always have this full active. Then apart with the C2, you win more resistances, which makes you really have a 40% resistance. And that's why you notice more ARLECCHINO tank when you have the C2 too, and we'll also talk about the cone that gives you resistance, the interruption. Basically the ARLECCHINO kit is this that I just comment, and it is very simple. Now the constellations that here as you see, while the ARLECCHINO is in combat gets 40% damage pyro and can only recover life by Ascent Moonlight, which is his. Ulti is to say ARLECCHINO if it is in combat cannot receive heating if you are in open world. Going to do the daily or something, if you can get healing first, you lose the hold pack life. And then you're going to heal but good with the ulti when you throw it. You cure practically the whole. Elemental has 30, but by reducing it you also pass to almost 15, with which the rotation of ARLECCHINO of 15 seconds and the cost of the ulti of 60 like Hu Tao, and has a quite cost low with having it about 25 of recharge. You will have perma ulti always. And more with the combo that I taught you, and more throwing an ulti if an ulti doesn't, better say an ulti no, and then an ulti of trying to accumulate. Vital Pact for the second constellation rotation. The first constellation, number 1, gives you resistance to interruption, is to say that you do not interrupt or keep hitting even if life. It's very important that you get hit, and you're going to lose your life anyway, but you're not going to get hit. And you're gonna be able to keep hitting normal attacks, and 2 gives you more damage from normal attack in proportion to the Vital Covenant, and that Vital Covenant gives you more harm in proportion to your attack, i.e. is between a 35 and a 30 to a 35% extra lequin damage is better that the weapon depends on gun you have, because in the end the gun, when you activate all the passive and you have full vital pack, gives you a 36% damage inflicted apart from the base stats then between the cone and the weapon. Maybe the cone is safer than the gun. Let's say the gun at the end is gun banner the way. You may lose a weapon coming out that you don't want, but in the end it's sort of a selection. The cone then enables to have the C2 in the future, which is also very interesting, and are there the choice, I would say constellations matter more than weapons, because also this weapon, if it was versatile, at least it could be some character, but the reality is that the passive of this vital pack weapon doesn't activate it. No one is just to give him Queno, so maybe the cone would be minimally better. Although the gross damage that gives you totally the weapon may be slightly better, but it's more risk by the weapons banner. And if you lose the 50-50 with the cone, you are assured for the next deal character for what you want, but if it turns out you lose your way with him with the gun and no, you secure the weapon in the next gun banner, you don't keep the path, and you lose a lot of the C2. Two important things. Number one, you don't have to wait 5 seconds from your elementary to collect the vital pact with the lead-in one, so that I give you the maximum of vital covenant. That is to say, enable you to be able to play teams of 2 characters, or only ARLECCHINO to be able to pass the abyss, but the normal rotations, even if you have 2, it's going to be elementary, then do the whole combo, and then the which is taking the vital pact, then gives you another 20% resistance to everything that combined with talent. Very ARLECCHINO tank with this. And finally, that the C2 has a third thing, is that it's going to do you an additional hit that makes 900% of ARLECCHINO's attack, and that's the hit you see in many. We who have ARLECCHINO C2, that as we pace the low and reap, we collect that pack. Vital appears a very big hit that now with Titular, and come to make 800 in Abyss, that is. For that hit is the one that you often see nuclear, or reach 1 or 2 million is the extra hit of what? And in old videos that has a rotation to be able to melt decently with ARLECCHINO, but as I say, I'll make a video apart from ARLECCHINO teams, then the C3 attack, normal +3, that would make this is at 13, and indeed its main source of damage, as well as in Jubilar with its load that reflected in his normal attack, with which a madness, and from here is already Balinio. I do not. I usually keep it in mind, but well, this is the last 3 to also make a bigger number. With the ulti, the C4, when ARLECCHINO has come out, a decree of bloody doubt. The waiting time. Blind Moon access is reduced by 2 seconds and recovers 15 points of energy, and once every 10 seconds. This is for your elementary ability to reduce its CD. And you can throw 2 ulti. Said elemental forgiveness the last, and are reduced will reduce its CD. And I imagine that you can throw an ulti too. Start the rotation and an ulti at the end of the rotation. And as to improve the gameplay and speeding up the hauls much faster, I don't understand it very well, because after testing a lot, this constellation doesn't really have a utility that's incredibly better ARLECCHINO, and in fact, the CTU stroke is stronger than the ulti stroke if gentleman, and can make critical and melted, and of everything. So this isn't as interesting as it seemed at first. And the cheeks is the one that makes very broken. If you've seen ARLECCHINO's hitting 500,000 continuous, is for this 6, and basically gives you 10 probability and 70 critical years, the normals with which you can put a helmet of hell. Attack, because to ease the proportion almost unintentionally, and apart the blow of the ulti does 700% more damage from your total vital covenant, with which the CX also makes the ulti itself. Now do more damage than C2, but it only makes 6. That ending is crazy, and it's for whales. But it's interesting, it's fun. ARLECCHINO to C2 was taught many times that you can Zoli the Abyss, or at least do it 2 and 2, i.e. ARLECCHINO and 1 more character, and then in another room 2 characters plus sets. Your vital pact set for the newest people can bring perfectly the Gladiator and his second best set, and in fact, the Gladiator, you get it. Growing voices weekly and in Reliquary can also be removed, and even in domains. These from the beginning, the game that are like from beginning to end style dungeon also go. Sometimes make Gladiator artifacts, and with Gladiator for free to play. Those who are starting people who want to play it can already go very well, is a set that is from day 1 of the game and is the second best set of ARLECCHINO, but its best set is that of Vital Pact that gives us A lot of damage inflicted and accumulates it if you take advantage of everything as you play it easy. Always standard construction of carry that turns out you already know that in the end all the carries usually repeat construction of Pyro Chalice attack clock and probability critical damage helmet. Depending on your weapon mainly, you will always seek critical damage to the helmet of ARLECCHINO. When he has to wear ARLECCHINO attack helmet, doesn't have so easy to turn off. Proportions like other characters, with which I would say that if you don't have chicks with ARLECCHINO won't helmet attack, unlike Mavuika, and on the other hand could carry helmet to carry attack Chalice, because the reality is that no, and to equal conditions in ARLECCHINO concretely. $47 de crit value as E, almost 50 de crit value, and with this concrete attack cup and these 47 of crit value as you are seeing on screen, I get more damage than with any other chalice I have in all of my account. Then I doubt very much to ever draw Pyro Chalices to say this is purgating me. But the day a Pyro Chalice comes out that improves this, I can improve ARLECCHINO. But it is better A. Pyro Chalice equal conditions with any attack chalice and good weapons in substat say. I forgot to take out critical probability, critical damage attack percent, and recharge of view. Energy up to 125, you have to seek mastery. You do not vaporize one every 3 hits or melts with it. Yes, your damage is based on melts, not the attack gives you much more damage in all your attacks. Not only by scaling, but by the subject of the Vital Pact, and that passive one that transforms. The whole Vital Pact you have in an additional percentage of your attack for damage normal attacks. Yes, this has sounded Chinese. Surely has sounded Chinese. But ARLECCHINO's summary is that more attack has more damage from normal attacks apart from the normal scaling of talent than you prefer. Look for critical probability, critical damage attack percent, and reload. And you don't want to look mastery because every masters is making you lose damage that you don't have in proportion. Critical or in attack also before the weapons ARLECCHINO is not like Mavuika or another or as new. Billet that can spare you the proportion with ARLECCHINO is quite the opposite. It costs enough. And 1,000 ARLECCHINO you play so much ARLECCHINO, no that you don't. It's easy to get the caps of proportion so you don't have to look for mastery weapons if we talk of the most free to play that you have surely heard a lot and gives great value to character, because you can play with a 3-star gun for people who are starting. Indeed is the white tassel 48% of normal attacks, all harm of ARLECCHINO 23 probability, and a base that's relatively low is true, but it compensates having Bennett on the team and the pyro consonants and lots of extra bufos with which the white tassel is amazing. If not, is no other option. Then on the opposite side, already talking about roofs, your best weapon is your weapon by of course, and then in intermediate form, if you have the Falcon left that it has gone out in permanent, is his second best weapon literally after his weapon, so playing Count Jade has gone off on the permanent, and many will have come out in the permanent. You are saved. And then in between, I've seen many ARLECCHINOs playing with Homea, not bad. But if you have a Falcon left behind, what do you think is better to balance for base attack to get more total attack for? That not on the proportion, because with Homea with good artifacts could reach over proportion. Bigoted gives you more critical value than the Jade itself, so its weapon gives the same probability as, which gives you Jade and Falcon left with neutral artifacts, but understanding ARLECCHINO. It may hurt you more than Homea itself, but Homea is fine, that doesn't have another alternative, the shovel of, but what explained of the ARLECCHINO mastery does not require mastery with the Say 44 of probability is 88 of crit value. You're going to spare the critical ratio capable of build of helmet attack with the staff of, but in ARLECCHINO could give a performance tremendously tall. But all this under the Falcon left, in case you have the Falcon left permanent and 4 stars apart from the neon being most free to play. It would be the white tassel. And it is the one that I recommend in all cases. We practically have also in the Lance of the Duel. The Lance of the Duel has 2 themes. Theme number 1 that gives you a base as well, very low, and the passive that gives you more attack compensates a little bit, but passes the theme of the base attack is, say, all the attack multipliers that can give you the rest of the characters go to the base of ARLECCHINO, and that makes it very limited in the attack. And the other subject that has the Spear of Morning is that it has more crit value than Homea and a little less than the staff, and having so much probability, it is practically necessary to draw Capio of proportion in ARLECCHINO with this weapon. A lot of people carry this weapon and it doesn't exceed 70 probability and 200 damage, and in that case, you lose quite a chance and quite a enough room to improve your ARLECCHINO and damage potential to do. But if you know how this weapon works, and you know that really the probability that gives you, it's crazy to abuse to get the maximum of critical proportion, basically the weapons of WoW. ARLECCHINO is summed up in this, and if you don't have it because it hasn't come out in any permanent or in the 5050 weapons banner and such, go directly through the white tassel and ARLECCHINO's 0 tassel. White, not even teams of 4, teams of 3 characters has the potential to spare us any room of the abyss when it is moderately well built, even with thirst for radiator, and then stats first recharge it between 20 and 25 at least to have the ulti in case you go. Something's gonna happen, or you're gonna get just a hit that's gonna shoot you one, and it's gonna frustrate you that in the abyss you'll be eliminated. You'll always have the ulti by hand. Then you'll have to try to weather the ratio at least 70 of probability and more than 200 of damage if you carry weapons of much crit value as that of the Duel of the Battle Pass or the Fate or even the Homa that gives you more crit value, even that the Jade or his weapon. You practically have to try to get closer to the Cape of Proportion if you carry his weapon or the Jade. It's much harder to get close to capping proportion to your weapon or Jade if you already get 70 of more. 220 chance of damage, you're pretty good. Maybe you can pull out a little more, and I forgot mention Emily's gun that many will say Phil, and Emily's gun that gives him the same chance. Because Emily's is in the Homa category. That is, Homa and Emily's weapon under the Jade. But if you don't have a Jade, you don't have a Homa either. But you have the weapon of Emily. Put Emily's gun above all, because unlike the Battle Pass, Emily's gun gives you 3 less probability but 608 base attack, that the base attack will help you a lot more. The total attack and that in the damage that I explained, that works in proportion to your attack and passes. For the Vital Pact to hurt normal attacks with ARLECCHINO, and the teams how long I take. 21 minutes. I think I'll make a separate video so this video doesn't last 40 minutes, but teams, basically there is a lot of combination of equipment currently with ARLECCHINO, but with the arrival of Citlali, this that you see on screen I think is his second best team, and in many opportunities can save you many combinations and free other characters like Kazuha or Bennett to play on other teams, and that's very good. That as you see on screen, this computer doesn't even use Kazuha or Bennett, who are 2 characters who are on the other teams of the game literally, and by example you can play an international cakes, a team of Kazuha, Xiangling, Bennett, and some Hydro. That would be any normal vape equipment variants of Raiden National, for example, and Sinsen. Raiden, Xiangling, Bennett on another team, and frees you is a Kazuha and a Bennett, and then your core team that would be ARLECCHINO, Fiorina, Kazuha. Bennett, that team continues to give its roof damage but is still more uncomfortable, though this one has Shilonen and you have the shield of Citlali. Although Fiorina is still you. He's going to give this life the shield of Citlali comes to him super well ARLECCHINO, and then you know what there is. A lot of combinations also for free to play with ARLECCHINO Chero, where you play ARLECCHINO. And the Zhongli Bennett, for example, is very well team ARLECCHINO double Hydro with Fiorina. More Yelan receiving the double Bufo, and last you can play Silonen or Xianyun, which is a species. Our team variant, did you notice it is better than our teams? And even Fikari. Xianyun, in this case ARLECCHINO does not give downs or simply does its normal rotation and you enter. And then there's an infinity of teams, but I'd mainly mention his core team, more risky and dependent on the C2. For the resistances and others, that is ARLECCHINO, Fiorina, Kazuha, Bennett, and the team you see on screen, that if you know how to play well with Citlali Shilonen. Remember that Citlali Shilonen cannot share parchment because the 2 buffs are not activated with which would recommend you take Silonen Petra Archaica, or if not, Citlali can carry Jo Armada and Shilonen Parchment as you prefer. And that second best ARLECCHINO team today, boo. Defensively the most stable, even above your computer pick, waiting for the video of the equipment of ARLECCHINO, because I thought about it while making the video and I know that it is full of comments from Rose Zumiros teams of ARLECCHINO, and no more soon the build of Chlorin. For the rest, thank you for all the love and support. Thank you for everything you do for the channel and what we're doing growing up, and I really appreciate a lot of what we're getting because it's thank you to you, and I hope to return it with multiplied with all the affection of the world. Care a lot to have very good day. Do not be mini and Chaito.